shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome here inside the Queen here in Baton Rouge. We thank them in 1717 for allowing us to host this coach's show. My name is Brian Flores. As always, joining me, head coach Everett Thompson, as we discuss what happened last week against the Rock Lobsters. And we don't have this next series, so we're going to be recapping what happened here halfway through the season, exactly halfway through. And after that, we're going to be moving on to a new guy in town who is joining us and kicking off his FPHL career here in Baton Rouge. We'll welcome Nathan Albrecht to the show. Coach, welcome back here to the show. Last weekend, you guys took a trip up to Athens to take on the Lobsters for 3 straight games. Last time we actually went up to Athens, it was kind of snowed out. So now that you had a full experience, I'm kind of dying to hear. What did you think? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, obviously not the results we were looking for. We came up short from our results. Didn't really have any performance where we could say we played a full 60. A lot of stuff to take from it, though, obviously. So,
what do you think is the main thing the main takeaway that you're going to be having from this?
we've got to definitely make some changes on how we approach playing a team like Athens. If you saw this week, it looks like it'll be a very high chance that'll be a playoff team we have to face. So, it's one of those things that now, and kind of knowing and seeing them for a whole series, and then seeing that is a good team that we'll have to take on potentially in the postseason, it makes the challenges that much more fun.
Yeah, and just with this, you mentioned this potential playoff preview. Is there something that you kind of took away that you're like, okay, I'm going to keep that and keep it in my back pocket?
Well, they out-physicaled us. They brought it to us in that sense, and, it's a wake-up call to our locker room, I think, that we have to get tougher. At the end of the day, it's a part of the game is physicality, and it's one of those things where, it's not that we didn't show up. We definitely showed up. It's just one of those things where it has to be consistent throughout the whole 60. And, there were times where we definitely could have probably stolen a game if we, played a little bit more our style and executed a bit. But at the same time, physicality is something that you always can control, finishing hits, things like that. And there were definitely times where we didn't do that. So you got to be critical of yourself sometimes, I think, if you want to get better. Just how you have to be in this business. If you're not looking within, it's one of those things where you got to get better continuously, and that's something we can improve on.
And this weekend, you guys got into a couple of fights, a couple of scraps, and mainly, though, power play that you guys had faced off against a red-hot Rock Lobsters team. You guys this is not going to be the last time you guys face them, so next time you guys face them, I believe, is going to be when we take them on here in Raising Cane's River Center. So what's something that you're going to be kind of trying to look forward to in that and just try to improve on?
I mean, just one of those things where when they come to our barn, it's one of those you don't want to get out physicality. You can't get pushed around in your home arena, so we definitely have to send a message in that regard, and it has to be felt throughout the whole locker room. And it's one of those things that it's a team tough game. You got to be team tough. You got to stick up for your brothers, and not to say that from one weekend, you felt really good and there was a high there, coming in from a 4-game win streak to, you kind of got punched in the face, and now it's kind of see where you're at, really. And it's good to have that at the end of the day. It's good to have that now in February. It's better to have these lessons early than, because we still have time to improve on them. And, time is one of those things that when it's on your side and you have some of it, it's great. Right now we have time, but it's slowly dwindling. So, it's one of those things where the urgency has to be the meter's starting to get a little hotter per se. So,
And how are you reacting to that yourself in the locker room?
I mean, it is what it is. If changes have to be made, changes have to be made.
No, I mean, I feel, especially after this past weekend, the final scores I feel like were very deceptive. And I don't know if you'd agree with that or not, but it was a lot of those games where, especially the first two, it was a very tight game until it just kind of got away, whereas just in the third period, you guys were down 3-2 at one point, or even tied 2-2. And on the power play, Rock Lobsters were able to find the back of the net, and then it just snowballed from there. But it was a tightly contested game, and this is just me talking from a broadcaster standpoint of view. I'm not on the ice. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what's going on, but just from an outsider's perspective, you guys are playing a very good skilled team. Like half of those guys were playing in the ECHL at one point. And I know you mentioned, last week's coaches show that you can't let that, get to you. You can't, with big stars in your eyes kind of thing. You have to put your nose down to the grindstone. But is there any solace knowing that you guys kept it that close for that long in that series?
And that's where the unfortunate thing is no. This is professional sports. There is no participation. Thanks for showing up and making it close. At the end of the day, you win and lose games. And execution is one of those things. We're going to look back and you can give yourself a few pat in the backs for some of the things you did well, but if you don't win the games, especially 3, the way I see it is that's a playoff series, and if we had a 3-game series, we were done by Saturday. Doesn't matter whether or not you kept it close or not. So you kind of have to keep that perspective in mind here, because like I said earlier, that's a team that now is probably on our schedule for playoffs. So next time we see them, it just is one of those things that has to be in your back of your mind that, everything is leading towards that. And if you want to win a championship, that's something that's a team we're probably going to have to see. So, do you like to say that you competed against them? It's good. Yeah, that is a positive that we had some close games against them. But at the end of the day, if you don't execute and you don't win, in this business, it comes and goes quick.
And I mean, especially in the realm of sports, 1 week you guys are flying high. You had 4 straight wins against Danville, and now we're here. 3 straight losses against Athens. But again, I look at from an outsider's perspective, from calling it in the booth. You guys really kept it close, and I know you said there's no participation trophies, but I mean, looking even at the slight positives like the goaltending this weekend. Goaltending, I would say, was probably the highest mark for both teams. Josh Rosenswag completely robbed half of the guys, on the goal mouth, and then you have Brandon Colgan, who just he stole like half of that game. And again, they snuck one past him in the third period, and that one just it stung. And you also have Everett. I was about to say Everett Bale. I'm so sorry. You have Bailey Stevens, who he again stood tall, and that's not even taking anything away from the defense, but it's just they were pretty much your guys' rocks. So, what were your takes on the goaltending this weekend?
I mean, Bailey and Colgan, they do their jobs really well. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. They're consistent. It's one of the things at the end of the day. If you want to have a championship team, your special teams and your goaltending have to be good. You can't really have too many hiccups in those departments because those ultimately are, what what keep games close or, keep you in games per se. So, I mean, kudos to them. Without them, we're probably in trouble. So we're really thankful to have those two.
And I feel like, again, just focusing on more of the, I would say, trending positives on the power or on the penalty kill. Obviously the Zydeco heading into the weekend, they were, I think, one of the top 5. Now they dropped down to a top 6. But you guys were able to find yet another shorthanded goal, in that very first game. Eric Alexanian was able to tuck one home. Is that something that you guys are kind of like looking towards too?
I mean, shorthanded goals are one of those things that's great when they happen, but it's not. It's definitely something that you're not trying to rely upon long term. I mean, you're trying to stay out of the box as much as possible, be as disciplined as possible, especially going forward. You can't have games where you're taking 5 to 8 penalties. That's just too many times, especially with a team like Athens. You're just playing with fire. They're simply like when you do have a team that's as skilled as that, you can't put them in situations where they're going to thrive. 5-on-5, man-on-man situations is where you have a good chance against them. One-on-one, I like to say in hockey, anyone can compete, which is the good part. But when you give those guys an advantage at all, their skills are going to, I'm not going to say overwhelm, but if you give them enough attempts, the percentages are eventually going to cut you. So it's one of those things going forward. It's good that we scored a shorthanded goal, but yeah, definitely not something that we like. Penalty kill is, you need that number to stay high. Like I said, special teams and goaltending are the backbone of a championship, so those things can't really ever go away.
And on the other side of the penalty kill spectrum is the power play, and you guys had a lot of opportunities and a lot of good looks, just not able to bat one home to the back of the net.
Yep, and that comes back to the execution. Executing is one of those things where when you play these good teams and they give you opportunities, you have to take advantage. And the more confident that they get that your power play is not going to succeed, the more, aggressive per se they can play. So, getting our power play back in sync is going to be something we look forward to getting back on track here the next couple of weeks, especially having a couple of days off, which would be nice. Really get to look at that, get the guys rested up a little bit here after being on the road for a couple of weeks, which would be good for us. But, it's one of those things where we'll regroup, we'll relook at it, and do a few new things here to try to get some more goals in the back of the net.
And you mentioned we have a couple days off here. We have a bye week this week. So this week, you guys are obviously preparing for the next week's bout against the Moccasins, but what are the key things that you're going to be trying to hammer home with these guys this week?
Just little things, transition games. It's one of those things where with it being an off week, you get to kind of take the breaks off of maybe looking forward to an opponent and look within yourself a little bit here. So we're going to look at and tweak a few things that we need to work on internally so we can become a better team, and execute a little bit better here.
And you guys' next opponent's going to be the Moccasins down in Monroe. It's always nice to have a cross-state battle here, and it's not going to be too much on the guys when it comes to travel. What's one thing that you're going to be looking forward to against this Moccasin series? What's one thing you're going to try to really drive home?
No, I mean, we owe them one from last time we played them. The New Year's Eve game was something that we definitely can't forget about. So it's in the back of my mind that that's the last time we saw them. It was something that we're not exactly our proudest performance, so we've got to go back in there and definitely give something that, whether you win or lose, you got to leave the building with a little bit of pride. So something that our effort is something we can definitely bring going into the next game, so I'm looking forward to seeing what effort we bring next weekend.
And I think the effort, again, this past weekend was commendable, keeping the Rock Lobsters on the ropes, as it were. And I was even talking to the broadcaster from Athens, and we both mentioned to each other that, something's going to give. Heading into that third period, something was going to give, because it's just both the Zydeco and Rock Lobsters, they were going back and forth. And, unfortunately for us, it went the way of the Lobsters. But, is that kind of momentum that you're looking to take into Monroe? Maybe having a little bit of that bad taste in your mouth, knowing that, we could have had one and then just taking it into Monroe and see if you can steal a couple games from them.
Yeah, I always say good teams don't have long losing streaks. So, the sooner we can cut this, scratch this out and get back on a winning streak is, good teams win games. So.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be definitely an easier week than what we've been kind of used to. Even flashing back to the Danville trip, where that was a very long trip, and going down to Topeka too, it wasn't an easy trek. And now you're having just a short 4-hour bus ride away, and you're already there, and it's just something that the guys don't need to sleep on the bus. They can just sleep in their own beds and then just end up playing that night.
Nah, that's pro sports. No one in this league has an easy travel schedule, so it's one of those things where when it is easy, it's great. When it's not, no one feels bad for you. At the end of the day, everyone's got to do it. So. Yeah.
No, I get that, and I was just more trying to make the point of that. It's just less to worry about, I guess. When you're heading down to Monroe. It's not like
There's always something to worry about in the Federal League.
That is true. But so listen, when we get back, we have a little bit of a change because we're not going to be talking about scouting the Moccasins just yet because they still need to play. So instead, we're going to have a little bit of a retrospective. Coach mentioned that the boys are going to have a chance to look within themselves. We're going to be looking into the season of the Zydeco, and we're going to be giving our mid-season progress report to see how the Zydeco has stacked up here so far in the season for 2024-25. Won't want to miss it. Stick right here.
We've gotten very good at roofing. We're good at the actual work, but also the documentation from the beginning. Getting everything with the client. What do they need? What are their needs? And then how can I give them a couple of options? And then from there, during the process, they know what's going on. And then at the end, feeling good about everything that's complete, and they're happy when they're done with their job.
For over 90 years, Don's Seafood has been a Louisiana staple. From the finest Gulf catch to the most authentic Cajun recipes, our commitment to quality and tradition is who we are. Enjoy favorites like our gumbo, jacked up shrimp, seafood salad, steak, and of course, our signature seafood platter. Don's is more than just food. We're a celebration of flavor and family. From our team at Don's Seafood, we want to thank you for the last 90 years and cheers to many more together.
Find more of what you're looking for.
An official sponsor of Baton Rouge Zydeco.
Welcome back here inside the Queen here in 1717. Let's get you the mid-season progress report here for the Zydeco. Looking at the numbers right now, they stand at second place in their division, standing at 14-10-4-4, a win percentage of a 57.1, which is fourth in the league, and very impressive goals for 127, which leads the division by far. And their goals against is a 103, which is fourth in the division. And their power play stands at 21.2, which is eighth in the league, and a penalty kill, which is 82.7. Now taking a look here at the numbers, Coach. Compare these numbers from this year to last year. What's the main kind of takeaway? What's the main difference that you see?
I mean, it's hard to really compare last year. It's a totally different team. So, I mean, I don't really look at the two numbers and compare them as much. We're a much better team in regards to our power play, especially. I think it was around 10% at times last year. So, I mean, power play is definitely something that most of the time throughout the year has been pretty consistently good. The last couple, obviously, last weekend wasn't the best. It's one of those things you want to hover around 100% combined with those two stats, and we're right around there right now. So earlier this year we kind of had an anomaly with our penalty kill being in around the 90s, so you knew that was going to fall eventually. But you try to get the penalty kill up a little bit higher, and 21% is okay, but if you can finish around the 30% mark going into playoffs, that would be a really hot team going into playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's definitely agreed. And just looking at just your guys' record, and this is a pure bare bones, you guys already have exceeded by 2 games your total wins. So this is saying both regulation and overtime wins. You guys this season have 18. Last season altogether you guys had 16. And just halfway through this season, you have already eclipsed that.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things coming into this year. We knew we had a better group coming in. Not to say that last year's group wasn't, at the end of the year we definitely had something to build off of. But, we definitely had some bigger goals this year. And with the roster is what it is, we're happy to see where the wins are. I still think it's one of those things where at this time of year I think it could be a little higher. I think we've let a few things slip, especially the past couple of weeks here. But not to mention that, we can't say that we're not happy with where we're at, but I still think there's some improvements that have to be made.
And you guys are, well within the playoff race here with 20 games left to go, but you guys are also in contention for the division right now, just 20 games left to go in the season. How does that affect your guys' game-to-game kind of mentality?
I mean, we approach every game the same. I don't think anyone in this league should be underlooked or overlooked. I think, every opponent brings a different, different task or a different challenge, and it's up to us to figure out what each team is going to bring and how we have to react and adjust to win those games. So it's a game in the game, and throughout the course of the season, it does become fun because, you find the tendencies of these different teams, and we're constantly trying to change how, accordingly to what we have to do to beat these teams. So it's one of those things that it's a constant mind game here of trying to improve here and trying to find these. I mean, every team every week here is making transactions, so it's one of those things where you just have to constantly be improving.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that really has improved, like you mentioned, not to say that the last year's quality was anything bad, but this year you guys have some pretty good top-touted players. I wanted to kind of highlight a few of these players, starting off here with Kevin Sabad. Sabad from this year, with 35 games played, has 13 goals, 14 assists, and 27 points. He actually leads the team in goals and also leads the team in power play goals. So for him being a top 3 point earner, how is your reaction to his play here so far?
Yeah, he comes from the top leagues in Europe, so it was one of those things that we, we had high expectations for him to come over here, and, he's producing like we need him to. So it's one of those things where he's doing his job as expected. So, I think everyone in that room could probably look at themselves, and, everyone probably wants to be more towards or a little bit above the point per game especially where we're at in the division. If you look around, a lot of the other teams, a lot of guys are over that mark. So guys are competitive as they should, and they constantly are wanting to improve their career. So it's one of those things where, looking for what's best for us is if they produce right now a ton so they can get better jobs next year.
Yeah, and it's all about trying to climb the ladder and trying to get to the next level. And the one guy who has been to the next level, Elijah Wilson, actually has the second most points on the team with 31, nearing his 100th point in his FPHL career. And as I just mentioned, he came back from the SPHL. So having a guy like that in your locker room and having Elijah there to kind of guide his teammates and his line mates, how imperative is that to have someone who's been there, been to the higher league, and known what the systems and everything is like there?
Yeah, the nice part is now we've got a couple of guys that have been up and down, so Elijah gets to join that group of guys that have, got to see the SPHL and just to see the difference in, the levels of pro hockey. So once you get to climb that ladder, you kind of realize that ultimately hockey really doesn't change that much. The game, the systems change slightly, the personnel changes slightly, but once you get down to the nitty-gritty, they are trying to score and we're trying to score goals, and that's the name of the game. So, it's good to have him back. I think it's always one of those weird things when guys come back. There's always a mind game that comes with it. It's not as easy, I think, as people think it is. When you go up and down, it's one of those, it's a lot tougher than it might appeal and seem to people. So it's one of those things that, a lot of guys have to deal with when they are going throughout the year, because it's one of those things where once you get the taste of it, you probably want to stay and you want to stick around, and then, you get told one day, no, you're not. So it's a different game within itself here, but, once he gets back to finding his game here for us, he's put up those points for a reason, and, it's hopefully it's that 100-point mark here soon.
And other than the point just mentioned about, him coming back down and obviously wanting to stay up, what are some of the other challenges that you face as a player playing from the SP going down to the FP?
It's just different roles, right? When you're going up, you're probably not going to be a top 6 player, and if you are, it's different. I wouldn't say different rules, but just you're going to have, it's probably going to be a little stricter. You're a new guy, so you got to figure out kind of your role on the team. You're meeting new guys, and then on top of that, you're getting all new systems, new plays. It's just a lot to take in a short amount of time. Usually, you get a training camp to adjust to these types of things, and when you're getting thrown in mid-season, it's really sink or swim. So it's one of those things where guys, the more they do it, the more they journey throughout pro hockey, the easier it gets. The first couple times you do it is definitely a tricky thing to do.
And one guy who has done pretty well here so far, and wouldn't be surprised if he made the jump either, is Tyler Larwood. Larwood standing at a team leading 32 points with 34 games played, 15 goals, and 17 assists. So far in his career, he has actually had his best point production, adding 10 points season here so far.
Yeah, Larwood's one of those diamonds in the rough. Unfortunately for him, the resume isn't glamorous, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't exactly have the prettiest teeth either. None of that matters with Larwood. He brings it every single night, every single game. That's why he wears a letter on our team here. He's one of those guys that you don't really got to talk too much because you know what he's going to bring. The only time you really talk to him is to kind of make sure that he's okay. You check in and make sure that he's not too wound up sometimes. But other than that, Tyler Larwood is one of those real salt-of-the-earth character guys that we love to have in this team.
And I know everybody there in the locker room loves having Larwood there. And a couple of people who I know every player loves their goaltender. So let's get to the goalie tandem here. Bailey Stevens starting off. 35 games played, 307 saves, and a save percentage of a .906 with a .292 goals against average. So far this season, Stevens has a 7-2-0-2 record. I want to get your take here on how Stevens has kind of improved here.
Yeah, he was one of another pickups from last season that we brought in this year. He knew his role was going to be a little different than last year. Obviously, he came in at the end of the year and really kind of was probably our starter towards the end there. and he knew coming into this year was going to be a little bit different, but he's adjusted very accordingly, and he's another one of those guys that every single day you can rely on Bailey to be there at practice and working really hard and never giving up on pucks, and he makes everyone around him better ultimately. So, he's one of those guys you love to have in your team because, there's only so many guys in this sport that truly are going to help their teammates get better every day, and he's one of them. And
one guy talking about just making adjustments, Brendan Colgan last season improved from a .896 save percentage to a .919 save percentage this season. So far in 35 games played, he has 739 saves, a .919 save percentage for a 262 goals against average. So after 2 years removed from breaking the all-time FPHL single-season shutout record with the Columbus River Dragons, how have you think that Brendan is fared here with the Zydeco?
Yeah, he's another one of those big character guys. He's big for our locker room. Having a goalie who's kind of been there, done that throughout the league, but he's still hungry to win a championship, which is big for us. It's one of those things where we're all kind of chasing something here, whether it be personal accolades for a guy like him are kind of out. He's already done that, so now it's kind of winning the team thing. And he's one of those guys that can really, push the group in the right direction. And, especially when, it's going to come time to winning a championship and putting our nose down and grinding. He's one of the guys that the guys in the locker room can really look upon and know that, he's going to be there doing his job at the end of the day. So it's always good to have reliability, especially in net there. We got two good ones, and it's good to have them both on board for us.
And I know that a lot of the fans feel the same way. There's a lot of people who end up wearing goalie cuts. Everybody loves their goaltenders here. So just want to get some kind of final thoughts here from you, Coach. Season to date, you guys have 20 games left to go here in this season. How do you feel?
We still have a big mountain to climb here. I think going forward, we got a few more weeks of this road trip here left, and then we get to return home, which would be really big for us. I think getting on home ice is where we play our best ultimately, and in front of our fans. So it's one of those things that we're really looking forward to. It'll be here quicker than you think, but at the same time, like I said, it's this mountain to climb here. We've put ourselves in a good position here so far, but only getting to this point would, wouldn't be enough. So we've got 20 more to go here, and hopefully we can get 20 more W's.
Yeah, 20 more W's, and that would put us in a pretty good spot here as we head into the final half of this season. So before we kind of end this segment, I want to get a couple of keys from you. What do you think is the biggest thing that you need to kind of dial in, work on, and what is one strength that you're hoping that your guys can continue here?
I think goal scoring is one thing. The numbers, it's as you pointed out earlier, it's like first in our division right now, but I think we have a few game on hands on most teams, so I think that number will eventually fall where it's supposed to be. I think we're probably realistically second or third, so I think we've got to put the puck in the back of the net a little bit more here, especially going forward. Not that we're playing in high-scoring games, but we've got to execute a few more times here, especially the last couple weekends here. I think we haven't really bared down like we should. So I think guys' points totals will start to hopefully show the difference in that, and then, our win differences will also hopefully come through a little bit more.
All right, so coming up, Nathan Albrecht will be joining us for the show as the new kid on the block. He will be our Momentum Building Services featured player interview. Listen as he describes his journey from the juniors to the pros right after this. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach.
No problem. Thank you.
If you don't have a plan or you don't understand how or where to begin at Church Funeral Services, we'll handle it all with care, passion. Church Funeral Services.
At Don Seafood, our weekend brunch isn't just a meal. It's the moment you've been waiting for all week. Begin your legendary weekend with brunch favorites like our shrimp and grits, crab cake benedict, and of course, bottomless mimosas. Let's be honest, the party doesn't start until Don Seafood hits the table. From our team at Don Seafood, we want to thank you for the past 90 years and cheers to many more together.
We've gotten very good at roofing. We're good at the actual work, but also the documentation from the beginning, getting everything with the client. What do they need? What are their needs? And then how can I give them a couple of options? And then from there, during the process, they know what's going on. And then at the end, feeling good about everything that's complete, and they're happy when they're done with their job.
Find more of what you're looking for at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. More of the games you love, more of the flavors you crave, more staycation relaxation. All this plus an exceptional staff. Add more to your story at L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
The trust that we offer to our clients is actually, it comes pretty easy for us because we've been doing this a long time, and 90% of the jobs that we get are referrals. You know, that's what we depend on, and we strive to let the customer know that we're gonna be here. We will always answer the phone.
Welcome back here inside the Queen here at 1717. Now joining the show, Nathan Albrecht, as he made his FPHL debut a couple of weeks ago in Danville. Now joins us here on the show from the juniors to now the pros. How you feeling?
Good, man. It's great being here.
And, you know, honestly, just looking at you in first reactions, you are a very, very fast player.
It's taken a while to get there, but yeah, we finally got there. Yeah.
So, just walk me through your start here. You started in the USP 3HL to the NAHL to the NOJHL. Finally, my old stomping grounds, the USPHL Premier. What was that like? You know, just going from different leagues.
Big difference going from league to league. I guess coaching changes up quite a bit. What you get on the teams change up, whether it's equipment, T-shirts, things of that nature. But biggest change is probably making that jump from Tier 2, dropping down to Tier 3. Things do change up a little bit, but, for the better in my case. So.
Yeah, and now that you're here in the FPHL, is there anything that you can kind of like draw parallels to? Or?
Yeah, definitely the road trips, bus rides, things like that. Tons of fun. Brings a lot of good memories back for sure.
Yeah. What would you say is one of your favorite memories from juniors?
Favorite junior memory? Probably be just going through the ringer, being like the new guy or being a rookie somewhere. It's always fun.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a great time. Yep, going through it your first time, it's nothing like going through it, the second, third, or maybe fourth time. So.
Oh no, I mean that's fair. So. With the New York Aviators, the last year of juniors, you earned 25 points in 41 games. And, knowing that it was your last year in juniors and knowing that, after that you're probably going to be going up to college, what was that experience like for you?
It was really good, actually. That was probably my favorite year of juniors that I had. Kind of got given the reins a little bit, being one of the captains there. Just putting the group together that we had in the room really kind of help with the points for sure.
So, and moving on here, you went from a junior to college, and your college, Iowa State University, played 15 games with Iowa State. So going from USPHL to ACHA, what was that transition like?
Big difference there. That's more like going from, I guess, Tier 3 right up to a Tier 2 juniors is how it felt. Game speed and getting to have, I guess, your own apartment, too, for the first time was a big difference, but had a lot of fun doing it.
So true college experience.
For sure, yeah. It was awesome.
I don't ask this much, and I think it's one thing I don't think a lot of guys think about or talk about. What was your major when you went to Iowa State?
Horticulture, actually.
Really?
Yep.
What was your, I guess, inspiration to do that?
I think it was just the main thing was like management of greenhouses. That sort of nature was what I was really looking to get into post-college. But now, obviously, post-college, I'm looking to do the hockey here professionally. So
doing that hockey.
Bit of a different career change.
But, I mean, always a good thing to have under your belt.
Yeah, for sure, having that degree.
Different skill sets. What's one thing that you learned in there that's just like, it just like sticks with you here?
Learned in college,
yeah.
I'd probably say, not much there. I mean, other than, talking to people and learn how to make new friends, things like that. Get contacts, kind of learn that through college quite a bit.
Yeah, honestly, kind of same here. All right, so now after a full year break, you went from just not really anywhere to all of a sudden playing for the Alpena 45ers and the Muskegon Voyagers in the MIJHL before moving on to the Zydeco, where you initially signed a PTO. So what was that experience like when you got the message from head coach Everett Thompson?
That was kind of a shock. Kind of came out of nowhere. I had woke up one morning, I think at about 9:30, and I knew I had a game later on that night with the Muskegon team. And I got a phone call from one of my buddies that I was playing with down there about it, and he goes, you got to be in Danville tonight by 7 o'clock for a game. And I was like, Danville's 7 hours away. Let me hurry up and pack my things and get in the car, but ended up making it there right on time. So.
Yeah, and that first game. So you lace them up, you're in the locker room. What's going through your mind?
I guess the crowd size, because you could kind of hear them from the locker room, and just getting out there and seeing, the stage that it's on is a big shocker, I think, for first-time guys doing it. And
now that you have a few games under your belt, how confident are you making the adjustment here from the MIHL to the FPHL?
I think super confident. Yeah, I feel really good going into this next couple of games that we got going on against. I think it's was it the Moccasins there,
yeah,
and then I think it was Mississippi following that. So should be really good coming up here. Got the game speed down now, so look forward to it.
You're actually coming in at a great time too, because those guys are heated rivals here between the Zydeco and them. So
love it.
You're going to see a lot of shaping. You thought that Athens was physical. That series is going to get bonkers. So is that something that kind of like motivates you here, knowing that it's a rivalry game? You're going to be getting into it.
Yep, the more of a competition, the better for me. Especially, I think this last weekend against Athens. Those are the games that, as a player, you just love and you just eat it up for sure.
And you haven't even played here at home yet, so I'm interested to see what your reaction to the River Center is.
The River Center looks pretty awesome coming from the highway, so I'm intrigued to see it now in person. Yep.
So how well are you adjusting here to Baton Rouge?
I think Baton Rouge is great. The weather's been awesome, really good food as well. I haven't gotten any of the crawfish boils or anything like that yet, but I know I'm going to do that for sure soon. But, it's been really good down here in Baton Rouge.
Dude, the gumbo is so good. The gumbo is so good.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And I think they call it Creole, too.
Okay.
It is so good.
I have to take a look at it.
I had one of the friends of the team invited me over to her house, and she she had homemade gumbo, and I'm like,
Okay.
it was good. It slapped. It was amazing. So definitely something you need to try. So far you've had a couple weekends. Obviously road trip. You went from Danville to Topeka and to Athens. What's your favorite part about playing with the Zydeco so far?
Favorite part about playing with them is just the overall chemistry, the way the culture is in and around the locker room. It's just really family oriented, and keeping as close as we can within the team. I think is probably one of my favorite parts about playing for them.
So you earned your first career point here in the FPHL over the weekend. Not sure if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
You got one assist
There we
against
go.
the Rock Lobsters.
Awesome.
So, now that you have that monkey off your back that you didn't even know it was on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do you think it's going to be playing a little easier, or it's like, no, you didn't even need to tell me that?
Yeah, regardless of that, you just got to not think about the points. The points will come. Just give all the effort that you can, do everything that you can, shift in, shift out, and hopefully it just pays off for you.
And I just looked at your getup right now, and I have to ask, and this is my, 8th year announcing hockey. It doesn't matter if it's high school, peewees, juniors, or pros. You guys always wear the Bass Pro Shop hats.
They're cheap hats. They fit nice. Get a little bit of wind through there, too, so it keeps the flow nice. I think that's the main reason, too. But
Yeah. We actually have really nice Trucker Zydeco hats, so think next time I bring you on the show, I'll give you one of those.
I'm going to have to, yep, for sure. Yeah.
But, no, I think just looking at your game, looking how you have adjusted here so far, you seem to be fitting in naturally.
Yeah, the guys have taken me in really well. ETs help a lot as well with the systems and everything, breaking it down for me. So when I do get out there, whether it's D or forward, I'm ready to go.
Actually, talk to me about the kind of systems. Is it more or less complex than when you were, say, in like the NAHL?
I'd say they're very similar. Like Coach said too prior, he mentioned the game doesn't really change much. Just little things will change, game speed, maybe vision, how quick the puck gets from one guy to another, that changes. But systems, things like that, they'll usually stay the same.
And I guess style of play, the speed of play, how much does that fluctuate?
Quite a bit. You'll see more skill, more speed as you keep moving up through the rungs. Size as well, you'll see a little bit. But
So size of the players here, especially here in the Zydeco, I look at half these guys and I'm like, what did you eat when you were kids? Like, you guys are just tall and massive.
Yep.
And it's like, what happened? Like, you guys just come out of the womb just pumping iron? What's going on there?
Yep, couple big boys here for sure. Yep.
So, regiment here so far, you're kind of, this is what, your second straight week here in Baton Rouge?
It would be. Yep, second week here.
So now that you have a full time to just kind of like settle in, rest, what's kind of the big plans for you?
I'm not too sure yet. I did just go golfing the other day here in town, and that was a lot of fun with the boys. But I think I'm just going to hang around the house with the guys again and just have a good weekend off.
That's a good team bonding experience, especially because housemates, just full disclosure, hearing you guys, gaming at 2 o'clock in the morning. Thanks for that, by the way. No, he doesn't. He's usually like me. I'm an old man. I'm in bed by 8. But is this your first experience, living in like a hockey house?
Technically, yeah, hockey house would be. I did stay with a really great old lady my last year of juniors, and we had 4 guys down in one bigger kind of area. So I've done that before, but having the house to ourselves, this is completely new.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was actually talking to a couple of my friends. They asked me, it's like, oh, well, what's the difference? You mentioned that you were in a house up in Bismarck when I was doing with the Bobcats. I'm like, the main difference is, in juniors you have billets. Billets that you essentially pay rent to, and they take care of you, and make sure you're in bed by 8 kind of thing. Here it's just get home when you get home, and you guys are your own police force. When it comes to that.
Yeah, having the I guess the wits about you to take care of yourself and make sure you're getting the right sleep, right groceries throughout the week are really beneficial to getting that winning outcome.
And here in the locker room, here in the organization, especially now that you have a chance to kind of like be in the same house as these guys, what's the culture like for you so far?
Culture's been really good in and around like the house and everything. Guys are really welcoming. I'd say around the rink even more so. So it's been great.
And I know then when I was talking to a couple of the workers at the Zydeco, they mentioned that you were a very kind soul and that they were excited to have you. Just having that kind of like acceptance here in the organization, knowing that you pretty much just got here. How is that for you?
It's great having everyone just kind of invite me in, nice, as one of their own already. Just makes the move coming down here to Baton Rouge a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I know it's probably a little bit different from the northern part of the States.
Yeah, it's exceptionally warm down here for this time of year.
What do you think of the humidity?
It's a little sticky, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. I heard the summers get worse, though.
Oh, yeah. Just wait till the summers, man. I mean, it's not as bad as Florida, say, but, I mean, it's like, it gets there. It gets there, that's for sure. So, in your time, obviously, traveled a little bit with hockey, and maybe putting you on the spot here, but what's your favorite spot? What's your favorite, city that you played in? Can't really say anything about
back
Baton
on
Rouge,
it now. I'd probably say maybe Brooklyn. When I played in Brooklyn, it's a really old town there, but it is beautiful. All the artwork and murals that they have on the walls, and the Brooklyn Bridge going across at night. It's all lit up from Manhattan, so that's a really cool view if you get to see it.
I actually been to Brooklyn before I made my trek to Bismarck. Actually, one of my favorite cities. Because, I mean, I didn't stay in Brooklyn. I stayed more in downtown proper in NYC. Okay. It's a walkable city.
It is, yeah, very.
I literally went from the Rockefeller Center to Radio City Music Hall, and I would literally just walk the entire city. And it was like, wow, everything's so close together.
Yeah, it really is.
So, what's one thing that you're excited to do here in Baton Rouge?
I'd probably say go for the ship this year. With the team, that's the one thing that, I really am looking forward to down here is just taking this group of guys and really pushing for that ship this year.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
I know these fans are hurting for one. They are a very passionate fan base. Like, I don't know if you had to experience that yet, but you go with Zydeco hoodie. I went to Best Buy. And I was wearing a Zydeco hat and a Zydeco hoodie, and they're like, that's the hockey team, right? It's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we went to a game. And they're just telling me about stories about how they saw a fight, how they saw a couple goals, and it's like, wow. It's like you wouldn't think Baton Rouge, Louisiana being a hockey city, but here we are.
Yep, here we are. It's awesome.
It really is. So I guess you're in good hands.
For sure. Yep, seems to be.
So I guess kind of final thoughts here for yourself?
Nothing. I mean, I've enjoyed it. Thanks for bringing me on the show. Especially, second week here. I'm already on the show, saying hi to all the people here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge is a beautiful city already from what I've seen, and look forward to playing here at the River Center.
You actually just reminded me. Just one last question before I depart from you. Louisiana, Mardi Gras. I mean, it's like chocolate and peanut butter.
I've heard some things, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any Mardi Gras plans?
I don't yet. No, I'm sure I'm going to get dragged into a couple plans, but yeah, we'll find out.
From what I heard, and I haven't experienced it too, because I'm green about this too. That's actually one of my bucket lists is to celebrate Mardi Gras in Louisiana. So glad I'm able to cross that off the old bucket list thing.
Yep.
So should be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So I mean. Sure. You're in the heart of the soul here. Heart of the soul.
Yeah.
So, listen, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
And thank you for joining us here. Nate Albrecht, if you want to see this guy play live, going to have to wait a little bit. Not going to be back here for another month. But if you want to secure your tickets, never too early to do that, you can contact Lucy at brzydeco.com or call 225-515-PUCK. to secure your home tickets today. And we have a function coming up, and this is going to be hockey night done right. Meet some of the Zydeco players at Oxborough, and you can join them there in Oxborough on the 7th in February at 6 p.m. You can enjoy pizza, meet the team, and take home an autographed flyer. I think that's a pretty good night out. Meeting some of the guys, get some merchandise, get some decor, and meet some friendly faces while you're at it. Well, I mean, some faces who are missing some teeth, but you know what? No one's perfect. So, I think that'll about do it. Thank you, everybody here, for joining us here at the Queen here in Baton Rouge. We thank them again in 1717 for allowing us to host the Coaches Show here every single weekday at 6:30 p.m. You can catch us next week, of course, here for the Coaches Show. But until then, my name is Brian Flores for Nate Albrecht and head coach Everett Thompson. Thank you so much for joining us here. We know you guys have a lot of entertainment choices here in Baton Rouge. We're honored that you made us part of your Wednesday evening as part of your entertainment on the docket. So until next week for the Coaches Show, and then again next weekend's game against the Monroe Moccasins, my name is Brian Flores. You have been watching the Coaches Show, and we hope to see you next time, where we're going to be joining on again with head coach Everett Thompson. So hope you have a great night and a most pleasant good evening.
Just like a spark that's breaking out, can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn